So today I want to talk a little bit about leading your business with your own journey. I've talked to a lot of you who feel a little bit like June has been a struggle. And I want to say first off that that's really just normal. When you are running a business and there's going to be funks. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say is you're going to have ups and you're going to have downs, and you cannot let that make you lean out instead of lean in. I've been doing this for 3 years. And there have been months that are harder than others, and there have been months that have been easier than others. That's just kind of the way it goes. But the one thing you absolutely cannot do is stop doing the vital behaviors. Because if you've had a month in June where you're like, okay, this feels a little bit harder, it feels a little bit weird, like people aren't super interested, and you decide to skip a few workouts and you decide to stop inviting people and you stop planning for the following month, then your next month is going to be really challenging and really discouraging. So one of my biggest tips for you is to make sure that you are planning well and digging into what went on this month. That way you can plan really well for next month and you can come out hot in July. Because what I find is usually a lower, slower month. I mean, lots of things can be going on, but it could be that you've taken a step back from the vital behaviors. It could be that your excitement, like your excitement is lower. It literally could be anything, but you don't want to continue that into the following month. So what we're going to talk about today is leading your business with your journey. And I love this topic, number one, because I feel like it's something that I've done really well my entire time as a coach. And I think if you can nail this down and if you can truly lead your business with your journey, there is no reason you're not successful in this business. I think whenever we start coaching, you kind of turn into a Beachbody robot on accident. You start to say things and do things that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise because you think that's what a Beachbody coach is supposed to be like and sound like and do. But I want to give you permission today to do this business in a way that is 100% authentically you, because that's how you're going to see success. There are lots of people out there watching you, whether you know it or not. And a lot of people these days, they kind of know they want to do Beachbody, but they're looking for a person, the person they want to do it with. And if you're not being authentically you, then they're not going to pick you. If you are not leading with your journey, if you're not showing up as you, then they're not going to have a reason to pick you. So let's dive in. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is to just take some time to reflect. If you're a writer, if you're a note taker, you can certainly write this down or you can just think. I want you to reflect on your current journey. Rate your workouts. In your mind, think 1 to 10, am I giving my workouts my all right now? A 10 would be like you're enjoying it, you're doing it to the best of your ability, you're working hard every single day, you're not skipping workouts, you are doing the program as intended. And a 1 would basically be like, yeah, I've quit. I'm not working out. And same with your nutrition. Rate your nutrition 1 to 10. Are you fully committed to your nutrition right now? Are you following a program, a Beachbody program, 2B Mindset, or Ultimate Portion Fix to a T right now? Are you kind of following a nutrition program? Are you just overall enjoying the journey right now, or is it something you're dreading day in and day out? And then are you getting results right now? Have you had a before and after picture in the last month? Have you maintained in the last month? And for some of you, that's exactly what you should be doing, is maintaining. But you should still be growing and gaining something from the programs you're doing. What in your life are you struggling with right now? This could be literally anything. Like, what's going on with you? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it just nutrition? Is it stress, anxiety? What's going on with you? I have no idea why I wrote like that because that doesn't make sense. But what in your life, or how are you growing right now? That's what I wanted to ask. In what area of life are you growing? And then what are you reading / listening to right now? And then my big question for you is any of this represented on your social media? Is your social media giving a clear picture of where you are right now in life, an honest picture? Because here's one of the biggest problems I see is that when people do become coaches, let me check to make sure nobody's wanting to get in real quick. I'm gonna have to stop my share.
Could you read the last one again?
Yes.
Sorry.
This one or the one before it?
The one before it.
Yeah. Oops. Don't write that if you're writing, because I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote it. Basically, where are you struggling right now and where are you growing right now? And then what are you reading and listening to or listening to? And then I want to know if this is represented on your social media, because this is really, really important. To not just look like a Beachbody robot, you absolutely have to lead with your journey. I do feel like when people start coaching, a lot of times they feel like they have to be perfect, but you guys, that's not the case at all. Your struggles and your imperfections and where you are in your actual journey is going to reach people more than anything else. And I will tell you, every single month when I plan for the following month, I'm planning from my pain points. I'm not planning from what I'm good at or the place where I'm growing. I am planning from where I'm struggling. That way I know I'm always growing. That way I know I can talk about next month with confidence, because if this is an area I need to grow, there are 5 to 10 women watching me guaranteed who are in that same spot, who are going to identify with me and be like, oh my gosh, I need to get my morning routine together too. Or, oh my gosh, like I've really slacked on nutrition and I really would like to join her so I can work on that too. Like a lot of times when I'm planning my groups, yeah, the program matters, but what matters more is why I want to do the program that I'm about to do. Every single one of us in this group could do Lift 4 next month, and every single one of us could promote for Lift 4 next month. But there better be something, if somebody's following all of us, that they are picking out one of us for. And it's not going to be because of Lift 4 itself. It's going to be because of you and your personal journey and what you are sharing and your reasons why you're starting that program. That's the most important piece. That's what matters, because guys, I don't know how many Beachbody coaches there are who are like actively working and promoting. I know the number we hear a lot is 400,000, but I absolutely know there are not that many working. But regardless, you're probably not the only Beachbody coach people are watching. So it's really, really important that you are you, because they are going to pick you and they are going to sign up with you for you. So you absolutely must lead with your journey. So as you're thinking of July, I want you to already be thinking about what are your pain points right now? What do you need to work on in July? Do you need to get your nutrition together in July? Have you been sleeping until 10 every single day? Do you need to work on your morning routine? Are you hating the workout program you're doing right now? And then why are you hating it? And what do you need to change to make sure you're not hating it for July? And don't feel like you can't talk about that. Like, you don't have to like every single program. For me, I quit Bar Blend back in whenever we did it because I hated it. And I was very open and honest about it. I didn't like it, and that's okay. I was talking to Shelby's team earlier in the week, and if you're somebody who like quits every program because you hate it, that's not okay. But if you're truly in a program that's not your program and you're not doing well with it and you're wanting to skip workouts and you're hating every single second of it, you have full permission to change your program and to quit it and be 100% honest about that, okay? Be honest about your life phase. That's a really important thing. Are you choosing Transform 20 because it's 20 minutes because you have kids and because you don't have a lot of time to work out? Or are you choosing Transform 20 because you're a coach and a teacher and over the summer you're going to be in and out of the gym all day? Are you choosing Transform 20 because you're pregnant and you want short workouts? Like, those are the things that matter. For example, I am doing Lift 4 next month, but I guarantee you, if you and I are doing Lift 4, I'm choosing it for a different reason than you. And I better be saying that when July is coming around. I'm choosing Lift 4 because I am going to be doing this program as my final program in pregnancy. And that's what I'm going to talk about a lot because that matters. It's 4 days a week, which I love. I don't feel like I'm going to have to modify a whole lot, which I love. And that's why I'm choosing it. And my people are going to know that. Why are you choosing what you're choosing? And what do you need to make sure you are successful in July? That's the key. I don't give a care what other people want me to do in July. I don't care at all that NBF is launching next month because that's not what's best for me right now. I'm not going to do that. I do think NBF is going to be amazing. And if I weren't in my life phase that I am, I would absolutely do it. But I want to save that program for postpartum for myself. But that's how you lead with your own journey, is you don't fall into the pressures of what you think you need to do as a Beachbody coach, because you will never see success doing what you think you should do to be successful. You see success when you're authentically you and you're leading with your own journey. Let me keep going. The second thing I really want you to know is it's more than just the physical part. It is more than just the workouts, especially whenever you're leading people and you're a coach. I want you to know today you have influence. I don't care if you are day one on your journey as a coach, you have influence. And I really want you to think about how you're using it. This becomes like really clear to me when I log on to my personal Instagram page for any reason whatsoever, and I start looking through the stories of my friends who don't do what we do. Like most of my fitness Instagram is actually filled with people that are like us, that are showing up on Instagram every single day, that are trying to do something to have influence, that are trying to encourage people. And sometimes whenever you're paying attention to all of those people, you're like, well, I don't have influence. Like, there are so many people out there doing what I'm doing. And that's just a load of crap. That's not true. In the grand scheme of who is out there on Instagram, there are not very many people willing to show up every single day like you do to inspire and encourage their followers. And I see that so clearly on my personal page, because I didn't intentionally grow that page the same way that I did my fitness page. So when I get on, it's usually like my friends sharing their vacations or sharing their meals or sharing their dogs, which is fine. Like, that's what social media is about. But that shows me that I am actually one of the few who are using my platform for influence. So how are you using the influence you have? And I want you to know that the way you decide and the way you actually influence as a coach is you pay attention to how you're struggling and you begin to grow from the inside out. It is not just your physical journey, okay? One of our vital behaviors is PD for a reason: personal and professional development. I want to be completely honest with you that when I very first started coaching, this was the hardest thing for me because I hate self-help books and I thought that's what I had to do. I would see other coaches post things and talk about these PD books, and I would read the title and I would be turned off immediately. Like, let me just give you an example. There's one out there that everybody talks about, and if you read it and you enjoy it, great. But I just knew I didn't want to read it. It's titled "You Are a Badass," and like everybody was reading it. Everybody. And I was like, do I actually have to read this book? Like, that's the last thing I want to read. Like, I don't want to read that. It already sounds terrible. I know I'm not that, like, I don't want to read that. And when I finally gave myself permission to stop following what everybody else was doing and take my own path of personal development and grow, because that's what it's about. It's about growth. You do not have to read the most popular self-help book out there if you don't want to do that. You get to take control. This goes back to not being a Beachbody robot. It does not matter what other people are reading or listening to. Listen to and read what you need for you to grow. And I'm going to be honest with you, for my first year, I didn't do it at all. And I kind of think it showed because I wasn't really growing all that much until it was actually it was right around my year mark, I started going to counseling. And I grew as a person more through my counseling. And then also coupled with that, I started really diving into scripture and growing for real from the inside. That's when my mission, my vision really did become real for me, is when I decided, you know what, this is more. This is a lot more than just my physical journey. For my first full year, it was all about the physical for me. And when I made the intentional decision to grow from the inside, that's when I actually even changed the team name. Before this period in my coaching, my team name was Team Rise and Shine. And once I started to grow, that's when I was like, okay, this is more. Like, this is so much more than people just losing 5 to 10 pounds. Like, it's so much more than that. And that's why I wanted to change my name, my team name, to Team Fit for More, because I could feel how I was changing in this lifestyle that I had built of consistency with my health and fitness physically. I also wanted to continue that with my emotional and spiritual and mental health too. That's why my name changed. So one of your top priorities as a coach is your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. I just can't sugarcoat that. You are leading people. And if you are leading people, you have to be in a space where you're growing and not just on the outside. It's not just about physical results. How are you growing mentally, emotionally, and spiritually right now? And if this is a spot that's missing in your life, I can guarantee you that your business is suffering because of it. You are a leader. You are either leading people on social media, like people are just watching, and I'm telling you, you have influence. You really do. Or you are leading your clients through programs, and you need to be growing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so you can help them. And then the third way you're leading people, or you will lead people, is you're growing a team of women who are doing what you're doing. And all of these things that you're doing require that you're in a headspace that's healthy and growing. So whatever that looks like for you, I want you to figure that out ASAP. It does not have to be self-help books. It does not have to be counseling and scripture like I did. The most powerful thing you can do is be super in tune with what's going on inside of you and figure out what you need to grow. What topics are you wrestling with right now? And I also want to mention there is a difference between personal and professional development. Professional development is more business minded, and I do think that they are both very important. If you're going to lean on one over the other, I would recommend starting with personal because it's really important. But it is also important to learn from other business women that you trust. And that's something I would say for myself as well, is that it took me a long time to identify the business women out there that I trusted to listen to their advice, because I want everything that I'm taking in to be solid, and I want everything that I'm taking in to agree with what I believe personally and spiritually. So that's how I kind of pick what I'm going to listen to or read. It's really super important to me that I lead with my own personal convictions, and I want you to do the same. If anything makes you uncomfortable, stop reading it or stop listening to it. This is your journey, and you have full permission to run your business how you see fit, 100%. And I fully believe with all of my heart, when you give yourself permission to run your business authentically, both in the health and fitness realm and your challenge groups and your social media, and with personal development and how you're growing, what you're listening to, what you're taking in, that's when your business is going to be set apart from every other Beachbody coach. We all have To Be Mindset and Ultimate Portion Fix and all of the same programs, every single one of us. So how are you going to stand out when somebody's watching social media deciding who they're going to sign up with? It's this stuff. It's you being willing to be authentic. It's you being willing to be vulnerable. It's you being willing to say, this is my pain point and this is what I'm doing to grow through it. People tell me all the time, one of the things they love most about me and my page and what I do is that I'm real. And it doesn't take any thought or effort. It kind of comes naturally to me to be real. But how cool that people will follow you and feel connected to you when you're just real. Like when you're just being honest about what's going on up here. Like people appreciate that and learn from that more than you could ever know. I'll give you one example. Before I got pregnant, most of you probably follow Megan Seals. She had a baby, her first baby, 2 years ago. And I can remember watching her journey and feeling really super inspired by it because I had never seen a pregnant woman rock a fitness journey like her. I just have never seen that. I don't think it's very common. And I can remember watching her and thinking, I'm going to do that exact same thing. Like I want to be that when I'm pregnant. And I remember a lot of what she talked about was being, pregnant, not powerless. That's something she said a lot. And she was all about having a strong pregnancy. So when I came into pregnancy, I was like, I totally want to be like that. But the more I got into pregnancy, I was like, that's totally not me. Like, I don't like that. Even that tagline, it doesn't fit me. I don't really feel that way. I actually dealt with a lot of insecurity in my first 5 months of pregnancy. And guess what I did? I talked about it because I don't know what else to do. I wasn't going to pretend that I felt so powerful as a pregnant woman when in reality, I would look in the mirror and want to burst into tears because I hated what I saw. And because my body wasn't changing like I saw other pregnant women's bodies changing. I did not look pregnant for a really long time. And that was really hard for me. So instead of hiding that, instead of pretending that somebody else's mission and vision was my own, I started to own my own mission. And I started to own how I was feeling. And guess what? That alone was powerful for me, number one. And number two, for other women who felt like I did in pregnancy. And that is what I see is our job as coaches. It is not for me to just hide how I feel and hide what's going on so I can be some fitness influencer Barbie girl who has her life all together. Like that's not what it is about. And it easily can become about that if you're not willing to show up as you. I could have easily hid how I was feeling. I didn't owe it to anybody to talk about my insecurities in pregnancy. I don't owe that to people, but I know that I feel best in my business when I am being me and when I am being authentic and vulnerable. And honestly, it puts a voice to how I'm feeling in ways that nothing else ever has. Like when you're able to name and claim how you feel, you can actually then heal from whatever is going on and move on and grow. And that's why I see what we do as so powerful. Because guess what? Had I not been a coach, I probably just would have stuffed how I was feeling down, and never spoken of it. Because it feels weird to say okay, I'm 25 weeks pregnant and I feel insecure because I think it looks bad. Like that's a weird thing to say. It is, but that's how I was feeling. So I named it and I claimed it and I declared, I'm not staying here. I refuse to stay here because I know there's something super unhealthy going on inside of my brain that must be addressed before I can move on. And I didn't rush through that process. And I was authentic and I was open about it on social media to the point that when I started to come out of it, I was able to share that I'm coming out of it. And at this point, I don't really feel like that anymore. I really don't. I took my 6 to 7 months to grow through it and to be honest about it and to talk about it and to identify what was going on in my brain. And now I'm able to share a little bit differently. And the really cool thing is that people have watched my journey. They've watched this 30-week journey of pregnancy and watched me change as a person. That's what this is about, you guys. This is about your growth. And you're brave enough to put it out there on social media so other people can be inspired by your growth. You are not perfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect. People want you to just show up as you. And it's so important. So, as you're planning for July, I want you to just take time and think, where am I? Like, for real. Where am I in my journey? What do I need moving into July? And how can I plan July around what I need? That way you can be growing and you can be excited about what you're doing. That way, when you're posting about it, it's coming from a place of, this matters to me because I need this. That way, when you're inviting, it's a personal invite because you're inviting them to join you on where you're still growing and what you need. If you're not thinking through those things and you're just like picking 21 Day Fix because whatever, that's not a personal invite. Like, do you want to do 21 Day Fix with me? Like, that's really not that exciting. But when you know your pain points and what you're growing towards, that's what you're inviting to more than just the program. So I'm giving you permission. Lead with your journey. Be authentic. Stop trying to be perfect because nobody cares about you being perfect. Nobody. You are not Autumn Calabrese. You don't have it all together, and neither do I. And quite frankly, neither does she. But she probably has it together more than I do. But I don't want to come across like I'm trying to be Autumn Calabrese. I am Paige Farr, and I want to come across as me, as authentic and vulnerable as I can. And that's how I'm going to go into July. So what questions do you have for me?
Paige, I know you've talked before about like finding your things, like how you I know you like Starbucks and like your, I don't know, for a while it was like also like cauliflower pizza. I don't know, just like little things that were like you. Well, how would you, like, for newer coaches, how that, like, because I know for me it took me a while to kind of like figure that out, especially because I wasn't really on social media. So how would you, like, what would your best piece of advice be for newer coaches that are kind of like just feeling it out, like figuring out social media?
Yeah, I do think that's really important, just to show those little things that are you. And I think they are usually so normal and so consistent in your life that you don't think about them. So I would just like pay attention. What do you love? What do you eat a lot? What do you do a lot? And it could be the most small, like minute, random things. Are your fingernails always painted green? Show that. Do you only buy Nike clothes? Show that. They're the smallest things that people can then start connecting to you, because I guarantee you, if my fingernails actually were painted green every single week, and I showed people me painting my fingernails green every Sunday night, if that's my routine, they're going to start connecting me with green fingernails. And when they go to the store and they see green fingernail polish, they might even buy it because I do that. Like, it's tiny, tiny things like that that you just need to start paying attention to, that are just you. You may ask friends and family, but again, they might be so normal to you and your friends and family that people aren't going to pick up on it. But this is why it's really important to just share those weird little random things in your life, because your Instagram followers will pick up on those things and they might even notice before you do. That's how it happened with me with Starbucks. Like, I used to talk about it a lot, and I can remember I've gotten it every Friday for a long time. But Courtney Harden, actually, one week she was like, why don't you share your recipe? Like, you always are sharing about your drink, but why don't you tell people what you're drinking? I'm like, that's such a good idea. And it took me forever to do it. But now I share it all the time. And people will text me or whatever, message me on Instagram. They'll be in line. They're like, I'm at Starbucks right now. What should I order? I don't remember your order. So it's like, it's the tiniest things like that. Just start sharing your life, everything about your life.
So this week because I totally was falling into the um, into just the mindset that I had to be certain thing, right? So I like looked online, what should I post? What should I share? And this whole week has felt very fake to me, to be honest, in some way, because everything that I've been posting is something that somebody else told me to post because supposedly it will help me build trust, and it will help people to know me. And don't get me wrong, like I put thought into what words I use and what pictures I chose, but I probably would not have chosen to talk about it then. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And then in the whatever I found, it was like, well, and then you want your stories to match what your post kind of is saying. And I think in theory it makes a lot of sense, but sometimes I don't want to talk twice about something that I already wrote in a post. So I don't know. I have been feeling a little lost, and that's why I love everything you said about does everything have to sync, right? Do you have a topic that you're gonna talk about during your stories a day, or is it whatever's coming into your mind and then you want to share it? But then if it is whatever is coming into your mind, how do you do time management so that you're not thinking of what you're sharing 24/7? Because, oh my gosh, I just finished a workout, I have to make a video to post it. So by the time I am ready to post the video, I already spent another half an hour to 15 minutes that I already put my children on hold while I was working out. Does that make sense? So I feel like if I just go with the flow, it takes longer time. And if I plan a little bit, it felt like it was more precise. But if I planned too much, then I didn't feel real. So it was just madness. And I didn't
No.
work out yesterday, and I didn't work out the day before. And it was like, what is happening? Because now I've lost myself trying to build my business, and it was just too overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you did a lot of overthinking about it. And I mean, everybody's probably going to give you a different answer. And I think this can be the hardest thing about being a coach and also the best thing. For people like me, it's the best thing because there's no rule book. For people who are type A planners, it's probably the worst thing because they want a rule book. But that's literally why I chose coaching, because I didn't want anybody to tell me what to do. I didn't want to have to follow this like linear path of this is how you see success. But in general, if I am promoting for a challenge group or coaching, I'm a little bit more planned out about it. But that's not every single day. So like yesterday, for example, I did make a post about the coaching try on, and then I talked about it a bit in my stories. But I'm also not a big planner around that. Like it's still a little bit go with the flow because I'm just like, I'll make the post about it and then I get on my story and I talk about it. But if I'm not specifically promoting for something, then it's always go with the flow for me. I think that you've got to be planned out when you're talking about inviting to those things, but I think there's a good balance all the time of going with the flow and being planned out. I hope that's helpful, but it might just keep racking your brain. And some of it could be like you're just not used to it and you haven't found your flow, but you will. But I do think if you ever get into that place where you're like, this doesn't even feel like me anymore, you got to take a step back and change things. It can't be too planned that you're like not coming on as who you are for real. I think you're muted, Helena.
We're planning for July, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's two things. First, so I've seen some success this month, and I have felt how my drive has kind of gone down, because it's like, well, if I get too excited and I keep promoting too much, then am I going to have anybody for the beginning of July? And maybe that's just the new coach feeling. Like maybe I should hold off to inviting people, because if I invite too many people and they say yes this month, then am I going to have anybody for July? So that was one thought. And the second one thing that I have found hard is how to bring up challenge groups like do it daily, do it all, because I want to be more intentional about that. I feel like sometimes I mention it and people, I think I overestimate how much people will remember everything I share. So I just assume that they would remember, and I probably won't say it again until it's close to the start date. And then, or so that's like, well, should I be talking about it every day, at least a little bit? It's so if you could just give me advice on that,
Yeah.
those two things.
So your first thing, that's totally a new coach mentality that guaranteed everybody on this call has had or currently has. And it's just a limiting belief that's not true. There will always be women who are looking for what you have to offer. So don't set yourself up for thinking, oh my gosh, I have to stop because I'm at Success Club 10. And there's no way that if I get to Success Club 16, that I'll get to Success Club 6 next month. That's just not true. So get that out of your head. The second thing, talk about it every single day once you start promoting. It doesn't have to be this like crazy heavy promotional thing, but I truly think that you need to talk about it every single day for 2 weeks. For me, sometimes that turns into 3 weeks because like, let me think where I am. Like once I get to Success Club 16 or 20-ish in the month, and I'm switching to coaching, like I'm talking about coaching right now, probably on, let me see, by Wednesday of next week, I'm going to start talking about July. And I'm going to start talking about the program I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So I am like soft promoting every single month, the last several days of the month. I may invite some, but I'm mostly worried about getting people excited for July. So I'm going to talk about it those days. Then in July, my group will probably start, let's say the 13th. So that gives me a little over 2 weeks to talk about it. And I'm going to talk about it in some way every single day. You might have this limiting belief in you that, oh my gosh, they're going to be like tired of this or whatever, but that's just not true. Just like you said, we overestimate the amount that people are taking in. They're not watching us like with full attention every single day. So they could hear you talk about your challenge group 7 days in a row, and they might not actually take it in until day 7. So talk about it every single day for at least 2 weeks before you start. I would also say in those 2 weeks, don't like make your social media only about promotion. Like you still need your real life stuff in there. And usually I go like every other day. So like say Monday, I'm going to do a heavy promotion day. Maybe I'll talk a lot about my personal health and fitness journey and do some like polls or questions or whatever. Then Tuesday, I am doing a heavy invite day. I will still talk about my challenge group on my stories, but it's not going to be heavy as far as promotion on my stories go. That just helps me, I guess, manage my time well and feeling like I'm not exhausting the topic I'm talking about. So Monday, heavy promotion on social media. Tuesday, heavy inviting. Wednesday, heavy promotion. Thursday, heavy inviting.
So how about when you, because I'm doing Bar Blend and I started this with my girls on June, right? So, but it won't end until the end of July. So I'm really not starting my own group. And you said, well, try to choose something you want to do. Well, I am already doing what I want to do, but I don't want to invite somebody and be like, well, Shash, just join us. Everybody's on week 4.
Right.
Which technically you could, but it just doesn't feel very personal if they just feel like, well, thank you for adding me, I guess, right? So I have found it a little challenging to see, well, what am I gonna start?
In that situation, I always invite to a 3-week program. And I try to make the start date the same as when I'll be finishing the next program, as close as I can. Because I don't know if you've done 21 Day Fix, but for me, it was my first program. I would highly recommend doing it soon. That way you can have something to speak to about it. But it was my first program and it changed my health completely. So that's what I always invite to if I'm in the middle of a longer program. And you can make it more about content in the program. So like that's what I had to do this time because I'm doing Transform 20, but I invited more to what I'm teaching than what the program is. So like we're talking about consistency and mindset, eating veggies. and drinking water. So I did tell them they were going to be starting a 3-week program, but to make some sort of consistency in the group, that's why I added in that component this month, because we're not all doing the same program, but we are all checking in with mindset this week. Any other questions? Okay, well, thanks for being here, you guys. It is so, so important that you just lead with your journey. I know it can be a little bit scary to be vulnerable and be honest and stand out, I guess, but I promise you it's the best thing you can do for your business. So this will be recorded. I'll put it up on the page. It is Big Sweaty Saturday, so hopefully a lot of us will be working out together at 10 a.m. today. Haley, do you have a question?
Yeah, well, not really. Well, kind of. Could you take a picture?
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm on my phone, so I only get like little faces.
Yes. Yep. Let me wipe off my dirty screen.